My name is John, and I was taken into the Foundling Hospital in 1936 and went to the Berkhamsted School in 1942 for 10 years, leaving in 1952. I chose the font, which was used by the Foundling Hospital to christen children as they were taken in. They were given names which were known as the Foundling Hospital names and a new birth certificate, and their original names were then put to one side, and they were always to be known by their Foundling Hospital name. Initially, I'm not really sure why, the font was the first thing that came to my mind, and perhaps that is appropriate because it's the first thing that a child would be presented with, in a sense, in as much as once it was admitted into the Foundling Hospital, it would be christened in the normal ceremony of baptizing a child. And so it was a very natural, in many ways, the first thing I thought of. The real reasons I wasn't absolutely certain of, particularly when I began to look at it and think about it. And it certainly conjured up all sorts of memories of my life, right from being handed over to the Foundling Hospital, through foster care and into the Berkhamsted School, and then life after. But it has always been something around me, in the sense that as a choir boy, I would pass it during each service as we processed up from the back of the chapel to the choir stalls. So it's always been there in my life. My first feeling was that the children were brought into the Foundling Hospital, and that their lives actually were torn apart. They were torn from their mothers, who were in desperate situation and needed to find help to have the children cared for. And so it was a very negative response, and everything negative that you could imagine actually went through my mind. But actually, having split in my mind the font into two parts, I began to realize that the two parts actually were two doors opening, and we were entering into a completely new life. Aside from the religious part of being baptized, we were being taken into a new home and an entirely new life. And that was the turning point of my thinking about the font. And then, of course, I went on to think about my own children and how they were baptized at a very early age, something which I was always very keen that they should be done. And it was at the point of being baptized that I felt that they were also coming into a new life, into my family, if you like, bearing in mind that I had no family of my own. So I'm creating this new family, and I'm, if you like, welcoming this child. Sounds very pompous, but welcoming this child into my family. And hopefully that child would have its own life, its own personality, and perhaps not be constrained by the way in which we in the Foundling Hospital were brought up. I mean, one of my pet things now is that I think that no child should be given a different name to that which it was born with, and that no child should be denied the information of its heritage. If it's adopted, it should be told. If it's fostered, it should be told. And that the child should always be given the opportunity, as and when they wish, to have knowledge of their parents. I say parent, their biological parents. That I think is very important. I think it's a human right that children should understand where they came from. We weren't told, and the reason behind why we weren't told was quite understandable. Life when Coram set up the Foundling Hospital was quite different to that which it is today. And the principle of shielding the child and the mother was absolutely right at that time. But things have changed now, and as I say, children should know their heritage.